How far would you go to be with the person you truly love? Would you walk a mile barefoot across a road of Legos, or eat Play-Doh for 3 days straight, or perhaps even destroy the entire Earth along with all of humanity? Well, no matter what you would really do, it can't top Ryo's actions from Devilman Crybaby, where unknowingly on the quest to feel loved, he lost everything. But this story isn't just about love, it has so many layers to it, and when I look at other Devilman Crybaby analyses, I see so many important topics skipped over. I'll tell you right now, there isn't just one main point to this series. It's nearly as complex as life itself, so let's talk about it. At first glance, one might think that Akira is extremely weak due to how often he cries. But this is actually his greatest strength. It's essentially an extremely powerful empathy radar, where you can tell when someone is sad or dealing with something internally and is unwilling to speak up about it. And he cries so much because so many people are struggling and unable to show the world how they really feel. He cries for people he loves and he cries for people he hates, showing that he cares for all life, regardless of whether or not they want to hurt him. The one instance where I couldn't quite tell why Akira was crying was in the opening scenes of the first episode, where Ryo gets on him for feeling down about a dead cat. But Akira bounces back and tells Ryo that he's crying as well. Of course, the audience is confused just as much as Ryo is at this moment, but we later figure out that Ryo had no idea that he himself was really even hurting. Subconsciously, we see that he does have a special attachment to Akira, hence why he drags him along this crazy demonic adventure. But I'll touch more on Ryo's development very soon. The demons that Ryo delivers onto Earth are more of a symbol of human problems as opposed to flesh-eating monsters. And these are the main reasons why we see Akira cry. Each person has their own devil, their own thing that holds them hostage internally. And these devils come in many different forms. Akira's devil is naivete, Miko's devil is envy, and the creepy photographer dude's devils are lust and greed. And to no one's surprise, Miki didn't actually have a devil. She was taken advantage of momentarily by the photographer, but when things were taken too far, she kept a calm and level head and stood up for herself, not succumbing to the bounds of naivete like Akira. I believe she is meant to be the truest form of purity seen within the series, hence why Akira is so fond of her. And despite being turned into a devil, he wishes to follow Miki in the example of kindness and strong will that she provides, as do Miko and many other struggling individuals throughout the series. When someone falls into the trap of one of these demons and misuses it, they turn into the physical embodiment of a devil themselves, and as we see with Akira, after one transforms, their peers look at them in a more fond light. Akira is faster and seems more attracted to the girls around him, and Miko and Koda are much faster as well, consequently raising their status as athletes. Their personalities change a lot as well, most of them becoming a bit more rude or self-centered after the transformation. This of course is an allegory for drugs or alcohol or other such vices. When you're younger, say in your teens, and you drink or smoke, people think you look so cool doing something so naughty. You might gain popularity from whatever gender you may be attracted to as well. This only lasts until college, sometimes throughout college, but regardless, it stops at some point. And when you're drinking 5 days a week after you've graduated, it's not seen as cool anymore. It's quite sad, honestly. This is when they become our demons, when things seem to have gone too far. And while Koda, Miko, and Akira were all praised at first while they were embellishing their newfound power, it got to them eventually, just like it gets to anybody in the real world. It becomes a struggle to keep up with the burden of having this demon inside of you. For example, Koda was embracing his super speed at the track and field events, but as we see the series progress, we watch Koda break down and cry over his friend or potentially lover, Junichi, who seems to have died at one of the Sabbath parties, meaning that when the demons were initially brought into Koda's life, they took something from him in exchange for his new powers. We recognize that he would likely give anything to reverse what had happened that day in order to get Junichi back in his life. This also shows us that when people use the power of these devils, it can weigh on innocent people who don't necessarily fall for those same harmful temptations. The end of the series exploits this idea, saying that if we all succumb to these temptations or demons, it'll tear the world apart, because in reality, our devils are a part of us. We are the real devils. Devilman Crybaby is constantly showing all the evils in the world. The series is so brutal and dark because it's highlighting all the things we do wrong. Pollution, homelessness, sexual assault, murder, drugs, poverty, guns, etc. We are the ones who fall for our selfish or evil desires. We become the devils. And who kills the humans within the show? The devils do. But wait, that's not entirely true. Toward the end of the series, the humans also kill the humans. This is a huge point that the writer had to touch on. When the devils weren't even oppressing the humans, Ryo told the rest of the world that it would be best to kill the normal people before they do become devils, blindly following some random person who claims to have authority in this world. Now, we would never do that, right? We would never wrongly kill people just because somebody told us it would be beneficial and keep us safe, right? Absolutely wrong. Look at any of the conquerors within history. Look at Hitler, Stalin, Columbus. So many quote-unquote leaders of the world have committed mass genocide on innocent people. This is exactly what Devilman Crybaby is highlighting, except in the show it's worse, because it portrays the idea that with the gradual increase in trust in technology, the mob mentality is only going to get worse, and in time, we will all look to destroy each other. Now this, of course, is an exaggeration. I don't believe a scientist or any world leader can convince everybody to kill their neighbors, but the internet is already used to help cancel people, to kill a person's mindset rather than their physical body. Now, a lot of the time, a person who gets canceled has done something morally or maybe legally incorrect, and people wish to side against this person because of said actions. And while it kind of makes sense, it's also incredibly toxic. The mob or sheep mentality. You're quick to try to shut down another person and their beliefs, whether they are wrong or not, but you yourself don't wish to be canceled, right? And you are so perfect, and you have never done anything wrong, never made any mistakes. What I'm trying to get at here is that it's not up to your average army of internet trolls or children who have never seen sunlight to decide whether or not another human is allowed to have rights as a living being. There are many other harmful instances where technology is used within the series, highlighting that we need to be very careful with how we deal with these technological advancements in the coming years. The use of cameras is one of them. Ryo records Akira as he transforms into Amon and later blackmails him and gets him, along with his entire family and everybody he ever loved, killed. Showing that once again, the internet, the use of certain tech, can lead to the destruction of your life. This happens in real life all the time. Something embarrassing or horrific that someone did was caught on camera and then uploaded somewhere on the internet for all to see. And maybe that person was ridiculed until they committed suicide or were forced to start a new life somewhere, depending on the severity, of course. Regardless, these things happen, and they're not always a matter of life or death, but many people have lost their lives due to a simple video. Ryo also uses a news broadcast to tell the world to kill all human life. More notably, the people who have faced any life trauma or seem sad recently. This also happens in our lives today. People are seen as bad or they are shunned if they have something going on that's hurting them. People are condemned if they have problems or at least show their problems to the world. This is exactly why people are fearful about speaking out on their own personal issues. They don't want to be looked down on for them. Throughout the series, Ryo also uses GPS to track Akira or anybody else that he needs to find. Again, something that happens in society today. Stalkers or internet trolls doxing you so everybody can find out where you live. It's quite dangerous, and it gets a lot of side characters killed throughout the series. But the last thing I want to touch on for this point is the potential positive use of the internet. I know I've been quite pessimistic about it throughout this video, but Devilman Crybaby is pointing out its faults, which I do mostly agree with. However, not everybody is evil, not everybody has bad intentions. Miki uses something that looks kind of like Twitter to tell the world that Akira is not evil, that he actually has the heart of a human but the body of a devil. And she asked for support, and to my disbelief, she actually got a lot of supporters. She got an entire army of Devilmen to get behind Akira and his cause. This shows us that not all hope is lost. I think the argument behind this whole technology theme within the show tells us to just be careful and to be smart. We let it run our everyday lives without thinking of the ramifications. We need to be responsible, but most importantly, think for yourself. Don't be a part of the sheep mentality. We need to be kind to each other because what is life without love? Now, I couldn't go through this entire video without mentioning the references from the Christian Bible. This series is riddled with them, and as much as they add meaning to the themes, I believe they're also present for the purpose of counteracting the demons and evil within the world. You would likely feel even more depressed after watching this series all the way through if there were no glimmer of hope. If it was all about Satan and devils with no God or no love or no light trickled in the mix, then this show would lose a lot of its value and honestly a lot of its praise. I wrote down a list of all the biblical references that I could find on my own, and while some of them add symbolism and explanations to certain events, some of these little Easter eggs only foreshadow future twists, like the painting of the Last Supper behind the Makimura family as they eat dinner, signifying their deaths. Ryo wearing all white, with all white hair and a white car, which means that he's an angel, in this case the fallen angel known as Satan. A couple little things that also hint to this are the Bible in his apartment, where he flips to the final book, Revelations, along with the fact that he lives on floor number 666, which if you weren't aware is the numeric symbol for Satan. And I cannot forget that when he was first brought onto Earth, from then on, devils started forming and this triggered the start of the end of the world. But let's quickly go back to that part about Revelations. This is where the rapture happens within the Christian Bible, where God comes back to Earth and essentially takes most of his believers back to heaven with him, leaving the sinners on Earth to rot. Devilman Crybaby is so clearly an allegory for this rapture, and of course with this interpretation of the event, the good and kind either stay human or are turned into devilmen, while the truly evil people are full-blown devils. However, all people face the same fate: death. Now, regardless of whether or not someone is good or evil, the father of the Makimura family is always reading the Bible and always preaching to be kind and to love others. Now, even with this good faith, he was not rewarded with those same preachings onto him and his family. Unfortunately, such is life. Whether you're a good guy or a bad guy, everybody dies. Peacefully or brutally, it doesn't matter. Mr. Makimura showed his love to the very end, as did many others throughout the series, despite living through this hell on Earth. And even though the world is ending and everybody is suffering, Akira has enough love in his heart for everybody. He cries for all humans and devils alike. He strives to protect them all, including his beloved Miki. And Miko eventually feels the same way. She starts out by loathing Miki with every fiber of her being, eventually taking on demons to surpass her in track and field. But even then, her hatred was not ridden, because Miki never cared if she was the best or not, and Miko hated her for it, but loved her all the same. She was looking to become as perfect as Miki, but as we all know, that's not possible. I mentioned before that Miki is meant to represent perfection or purity. Everybody looks up to her and wants to be like her, because they all want their demons to evaporate. They want to be happy and pure like she is, but that can never happen to any of us. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't try. We should all look to be the best version of ourselves, because in the end, even the most pure meet death. In the final episodes of Devilman Crybaby, Ryo comes to recognize that he is Satan, and he remembers why he's on Earth to begin with: Akira. He rains hellfire on the world and lets everyone burn. In the final moments of episode 10, he and Akira lie next to each other, looking up at the stars while Ryo goes on about how he thought love wasn't real. This is the catharsis. He loves Akira. He did everything in his power to be alone with the person he loved, and because of his brash actions, he killed the only person he truly wanted to be with. He destroyed the world for love. After the credits of the final episode, we see the Earth, intact, with two moons next to each other. They are Ryo and Akira. Together forever, or so we think. It could also be interpreted that God put Satan through these life cycles to make him suffer for causing evil to enter the world. Right when he's about to achieve love and break the cycle of loneliness, God restarts it all. I don't think we'll ever know if that is entirely true, but it seems fitting. Love is the most powerful emotion we can experience. It can make you the happiest being on earth, or it can grant you eternal suffering. Now, typically when I do these videos, I try to think of the main point, the one message the writer is trying to send to the audience. And with this series, to say that there is just one message to be sent is disrespectful. Devilman Crybaby has way too many layers to highlight only one concept or theme. I think what the writer is trying to say is a combination of everything that I've touched on in this video. Love, it's powerful. It can make you do crazy and even horrible things. Humans, we are incredibly imperfect, completely flawed by nature, and with the coming of the future and improved technology, we turn on each other more and more every waking day. And lastly, our demons. We all have them. Some of us deal with them better than others do, and it's so easy for us to fall down into an evil trap that we think may help us in the meantime, but in reality, it hurts us more than we could ever imagine in the long run. Those demons, those things that have a chokehold over us, sex, drugs, alcohol, money, honestly, anything can be turned into a demon if used improperly. Don't let yourself hurt alone. Humans are meant to stick together, because if we don't, then that's when our world will collapse on us. You can win the war. You just need some allies. Ooh, that was a bit heavy, wasn't it? Necessary, but still a bit dark. But hey, if you want to watch something just slightly less depressing, you can watch my Death Parade analysis right here too. And you know the drill, comment whatever you want me to make a video on next. Anime, games, movies, whatever. And remember, if you finally get some alone time with your crush, the world will end, so just don't go for it.